레위기 23장, Leviticus chapter 23. The Lord said to Moses, speak to the Israelites and say to them, these are my appointed feast, the appointed feast of the Lord, which you are to proclaim as a sacred assembly. There are 6 days when you may work, but the 7 days is a Sabbath of rest. A day of sacred assembly, you are not to do any work. Wherever you live, it is a Sabbath to the Lord. These are the Lord appointed feasts, the sacred assemblies you are to proclaim at the appointed times. The Lord's Passover begins at the twilight on the 14th day of the first month. On the 15th day of the month, the Lord's feast of the unleavened bread begins. For 7 days you must eat bread made without yeast. On the first day hold the sacred assemblies and do not regular work. For 7 days present the offerings made to the Lord by fire. And on the 7th day hold a sacred assemblies and do not regular work. The Lord said to Moses, speak to the Israelites and say to them, when you enter the land I am going to give you, and you reap its harvest, bring to the priest the sheaf of the first grains you harvest. He is to wave the sheaf before the Lord, so it will be accepted on your behalf. The priest is wave it on the days after the Sabbath. On the day you wave the sheaf, you must sacrifice as a burnt offering to the Lord's lamb's ears, Lord, without defect, together with this grain offering of 2/10 of the ephah of fine flours mixed with oils, an offering made to the Lord by fires, a pleasing aroma, and its drinks offerings of quarters of a hin of wine. You must not eat any breads or roasted or a new grain until the very day you bring this offering to your God. This is to be a lasting ordinance for the generation to come where you live. From the day after Sabbath, the days you brought the sheaf of the wave offering, count of 7 full weeks, count of 50 days up to the day after the seventh day, and then the present an offerings of new grains to the Lord. From the whatever you leave, bring 2 loaves made of 2/10 of the pan of fine flours baked with the yeast as a wave offerings of first fruit to the Lord. Present with this bread 7 male lambs, each years old and without defect, 1 young bulls or 2 rams. They will be burnt offering to the Lord, together with the grains offerings and drinks offerings and offerings made by fire, an aroma pleasing to the Lord. Then sacrifice on 1 male goat for a sin offering, 2 lambs, each of years old, for fellowship's offerings. The priest is to wave the 2 lambs before the Lord as waves offerings together with the breads of the first fruit. They are sacred offering to the Lord for the priest. On the same days you are the proclaims the sacred assemblies and do not regular work. This is to be a lasting ordinance for the generation to come wherever you live. When you reap the harvest of your lands, do not reap to the very edges of your fields. Gathers the gleaning of your harvest. Leave them for the poor and the aliens. I am the Lord your God. The Lord said to Moses, say to the Israelites, on the first days of 7th month you are to have a day of rest, a sacred assembly commemorated with the trumpet blast. Do not regular work, but present the offerings made to the Lord by fire. The Lord said to Moses, the 10th days of 7th month is day of the atonement. Hold a sacred assembly and deny yourselves and present the offerings made to the Lord by fire. Do not work on that day because it is the day of atonement. when atonement is made for you before the Lord your God. Anyone who does not deny himself on that day must be cut off from the poor people. I will destroy from among his people anyone who does any work on that day. You shall know the work at all. This is to be a lasting ordinance for the generations to come, wherever you live. It is a Sabbath of rest for you, and you must deny yourselves from the evenings of the 9th day of the month until the following evening. You are to observe your Sabbaths. The Lord said to Moses, say to the Israelites, on the 15th day of the 7th month, the Lord feast of the tabernacles begins, and it lasts for 7 days. The first day is a sacred assembly, do no regular work. For 7 days present offerings made to the Lord by fire, and on the 8th day of the sacred assemblies, and present on offerings made to the Lord by fire. It is the closing assembly, no regular work. These are the Lord's appointed feasts which you are to proclaim as sacred in the assemblies for the bringing the offerings made to the Lord by fire, the burnt offerings and the grain offerings, sacrifice and drink offerings required for each day. These offerings are in addition to those for the Lord's Sabbath, and in addition to your gift and whatever you have vowed, and all the frivolous offerings you give to the Lord. So beginning with the 15 days of the 7th month, after you have gathered the crows of the land to celebrate the festival to the Lord for 7 days. The first day is days of rest, and the 8th day also is day of his rest. On the first days you are to take a choice fruit from the trees and the palm, from the leafy branches and the prolep, and rejoice before the Lord your God for 7 days. Celebrate this as a festival to the Lord for the 7 days. And each year, this is to be a lasting ordinance for the generation to come. Celebrate it in the 7th month. Live in a booth for 7 days. All native born Israelites are to live in a booth. So your descendants will know that I had the Israelites live in the booth when I brought them out of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Moses announced to the Israelites the appointed feast of the Lamb.